There comes a moment when hiding love hurts more than confessing it. That moment has arrived. There's a battle happening in the heart of someone very special in your life. A war between fear and truth, between pride and vulnerability, between wounds from the past and hope for the future. And today, I have a prophetic word for you. That battle has come to an end. Truth has won. For months, maybe years, you've been carrying a question that burns in your chest. Does this person feel the same way about me? You analyze every gesture, every word, every glance, looking for clues that you're not living in an illusion. There are nights when you lie down imagining what it would be like to hear the words your heart so desperately desires. And there are days when you almost give up, convinced that you're dreaming alone. But here's the revelation that will change everything. You're not alone in this. On the other side of this story, there's someone who has been going through the same anguish. Someone who has been fighting against their own feelings. Someone who has resisted love because the fear of getting hurt again seemed greater than the possibility of being happy. This person who occupies your thoughts isn't cold or insensitive. They're cautious. They're protected. They built walls around their heart because they've been hurt before. Maybe by someone who promised to love forever and left without explanation. Maybe by parents who didn't know how to show affection. Maybe by relationships that started as dreams and ended as nightmares. But God sees beyond the walls. He looks at the heart behind the defenses. And during all this time you've been waiting, He wasn't idle. He was working, healing, restoring, preparing this person for the moment when it would finally be safe to love again. And that moment has arrived. The healing has happened. The wounds have scarred over. And now, for the first time in a long time, this person is ready to let their guard down and surrender their heart. Ready to confess what they've always felt but never had the courage to say. Let me tell you a story that happened thousands of years ago, but perfectly mirrors what's about to happen in your life. It's the story of a man named Joseph, and if you've never heard of him, you need to understand the extraordinary drama he lived through. Joseph was the favorite son of a father who had many sons. But instead of bringing happiness, this brought deadly jealousy from his brothers. They hated Joseph so much that they decided to get rid of him in the cruelest way possible. They sold their own brother as a slave and told their father he had died in a wild animal attack. Imagine the pain, the betrayal, the feeling of total abandonment by those who should have protected him. Joseph was taken to Egypt, a foreign land where he knew no one and had no rights. He spent years as a slave, then was falsely accused and thrown in prison. It was as if the entire world had conspired against him. But here's what makes this story extraordinary. Even in the worst circumstances, Joseph never lost his integrity or his faith. And slowly, miraculously, his life began to change. His abilities were recognized. His wisdom stood out. And, in a twist no one could have predicted, he was elevated to the second highest position in Egypt. The slave became practically a king. Years passed. A great famine struck the entire region, and the only people who had food were the Egyptians under Joseph's administration. And then, something unbelievable happened. The same brothers who had sold him as a slave appeared in Egypt, desperate, begging for food. They had no idea who this powerful man before them was. Joseph recognized them immediately. For months, he observed them, tested their hearts, wanted to see if they had changed. There was pain there, ancient hurt that seemed never to heal. He had all the power to take revenge, to destroy them completely. But something greater was happening in his heart. And then, that day came. The tension had become unbearable. Joseph was in the palace, surrounded by servants, with his brothers bowed before him. And suddenly, like a dam that can no longer hold back the pressure, everything exploded. He shouted for all the servants to leave. He wanted to be alone with those men who had changed the course of his life. His hands trembled. His voice failed. Tears began to flow. And then, with an emotion that echoed throughout the palace, he said the words that changed everything. "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" The silence that followed was deafening. The brothers were in absolute shock, unable to process what they had just heard. The man they feared was the brother they had lost. The person who held the power to destroy them was the one who loved them most. Reality had turned upside down in a matter of seconds. But here's the most impressive part of the story. Joseph's confession didn't just bring revelation. It brought instant healing, immediate forgiveness, concrete plans for the future. Instead of seeking revenge, he said, "Don't be distressed that you sold me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you." Can you imagine the emotional transformation of that moment? Years of pain were healed in seconds. Decades of separation transformed into promises of reunion. The deepest wound became the source of the greatest blessing. And it all began with someone who could no longer keep the truth inside their chest. This is a prophecy about your situation. Just as Joseph could no longer contain the truth, this person you love has reached the point where silence can no longer hold back what they feel. The internal pressure has become greater than any fear or resistance. During all this time of apparent silence, they've been fighting the same internal battle that Joseph fought, watching you, testing whether it's safe to open up, struggling between the desire to reveal themselves and the fear of being hurt again. But just as Joseph reached the point where he could no longer contain himself, they're also reaching the limit of their capacity to hide the truth. And when this revelation is already at the door, and it won't just be, "I love you," said in the heat of emotion. It will be a complete, mature revelation, loaded with purpose. It will be someone saying, "I understand now why we needed to go through all this. I see God's plan for us, and I can no longer pretend that you're not an essential part of my life." Lately, you've been noticing subtle but undeniable changes in this person's behavior. Let me show you the concrete signs that the time for the heart to speak has arrived. The first sign is in their eyes. Before, when this person looked at you, there was control, safe distance, polite but guarded looks. Now it's different. There's a new intensity, as if they're trying to communicate with their eyes what words still can't express. You feel there's a silent conversation happening, a connection that goes beyond the superficial. The second sign is the conversations. They've become much deeper and more personal. This person has started sharing things they've never shared before. Hidden dreams, secret fears, stories from the past they usually keep private. It's as if they're slowly opening their heart, preparing the ground for the great revelation. The third sign is practical care. They've started paying attention to small details you mention. They remember your favorite coffee. They worry when you're stressed. They offer help in concrete and specific ways. This care goes far beyond normal courtesy. It's love manifesting through actions, even before verbal confession. The fourth sign is that they talk about both of you in the future. Subtle comments like, "When we go," or "If we decide," or "Imagine if we did." These aren't casual words. It's their subconscious, already assuming there's an us on the horizon. As I share these signs of a heart that's finally finding courage to reveal itself, I notice a deep connection between this internal battle they've been living and the journey of emotional healing we all need to go through to attract true love. These wounds from the past, these protective walls, this resistance to trust again, all of this is part of a larger process of preparation for mature and lasting love. That's why I've prepared with all my heart a special gift called How to Attract and Recognize True Love, which reveals how to heal these wounds that prevent heart confessions and create the internal space necessary for true love to flourish in its fullness. This guide is available in the first pinned comment for those who recognize that the time has come to break the patterns that have kept them distant from the love they deserve. If it's for you, you'll know. Now, returning to these unmistakable signs that someone is preparing to open their heart to you. The fifth sign is inclusion. They've started including you in the important aspects of their life. They invite you to events that really matter. They want your opinion on significant decisions. They introduce you to people who are special to them. This isn't coincidence. It's preparation for a bigger revelation. If you recognize these signs, know that you're not imagining things. These are the preliminary steps of someone preparing for a confession that will change everything between you. But understand something crucial about the internal process this person has been going. All this time of apparent distance, they were fighting an epic battle within their own heart. On one side, the growing and undeniable love they feel for you. On the other, the ghosts of the past, whispering that it's too risky to trust again. They've questioned their own feelings 1,000 times. Is this real or just neediness? What if I open up and get rejected again? What if I ruin our friendship by confessing something deeper? These questions have tormented their mind, creating an almost unbearable internal tension. But here's the good news. God has used exactly this tension to purify their motivations, to separate what's fleeting passion from what's true love, to distinguish between emotional need and genuine partnership. And now, after all this refinement process, they've reached a crystal clear conclusion. What they feel for you is real, it's mature, it's worthy of being confessed. The revelation that approaches won't be born from impulse or desperation. It will be born from deep conviction, from spiritual recognition, from a certainty that was forged in the fire of reflection and purified by prayer. When they finally speak, it will be with the authority of someone who knows exactly what they're saying. And here's something few understand about true confessions. They rarely come alone. When someone finally decides to open up completely, they don't just talk about feelings, they talk about visions, about plans, about the future they imagine building together with you. Just as Joseph immediately began making practical plans after revealing himself, he sent for his father, organized the move of the entire family, planned how he would care for all of them. This person will also come with concrete ideas. They won't just say, "I love you." They'll say, "I love you and want to build a life with you. I love you and see how we can grow together spiritually. I love you and have specific dreams about our future." This confession will be accompanied by substance, by weight, by maturity that comes only from someone who spent enough time reflecting to know they're making a decision that will change both of your lives forever. But now I need to prepare you to receive this confession in the most mature and honorable way possible, because your response will determine whether this moment becomes the beginning of something extraordinary or just a sweet memory that wasn't properly cultivated. First, understand the courage it will take for this person to open up this way. For someone who has been cautious, who has built walls, who has avoided vulnerability, confessing true love is like jumping off a cliff without knowing if there's a safety net below. Receive this confession with the honor and respect it deserves. Second, don't treat this as a personal victory over someone who finally surrendered. This isn't a competition you won. It's a sacred moment when two people decide to be completely honest with each other. Respond with equal vulnerability and transparency. Third, be ready to also open up completely. This confession will create a space of mutual transparency where both of you can finally drop all masks. Don't waste this opportunity by being passive or guarded. Be equally brave in expressing your feelings. Fourth, recognize that this is a moment orchestrated by God. When the confession happens, remember, it wasn't coincidence or luck. It was the result of your prayers, your patience, your faith in waiting on the Lord's timing. Honor God by recognizing His hand in this process. Fifth, understand that confession is just the beginning. After it, you'll have to learn to navigate a completely new dynamic. You'll have to discover how to build something lasting, how to resolve conflicts healthily, how to grow together spiritually. Confession opens the door, but both of you will have to walk through it. In the coming days, you'll probably notice this person is more anxious than normal when they're around you. There may be moments when they seem to be on the tip of their tongue about to say something important, but hold back at the last second. These are the final signs that confession is literally about to explode. During these final moments, be patient. Don't pressure. Don't force. Let it happen in God's natural timing. Because when it comes, it will be at the perfect moment, in the perfect way, with perfect impact. And when it finally happens, when the words come out, when the truth is revealed, when damned waters finally run free, it will be like a key opening doors that have been locked for years. Everything will be illuminated. Everything will make sense. And you'll know, without a shadow of doubt, that a new story has begun. The confession won't just be pretty words said in a romantic moment. It will be the dawn of a new era in both of your lives. An era where there are no more emotional games, no more hidden agendas, no more doubts about where each one stands in the other's heart. It will be the beginning of a partnership based on total transparency, on mutual commitment, on shared purpose, on aligned dreams, on joint faith in the plans God has for you as a couple. And just as Joseph's revelation brought not just personal reconciliation, but blessing for the entire family and salvation for an entire nation, your confession will also have impacts that go far beyond just the two of you. It will be the birth of a union that will bless other people. That will serve as an example of mature love. That will fulfill divine purposes that were planned even before you met each other. There's a special glow I can perceive in those who are truly absorbing these revelations about the approaching confession. And I feel you're one of them. After sharing about Joseph, about the signs, about the internal battle your loved one has been living, I sense that something has awakened deeply in your heart. You didn't arrive here by chance. There's a rare portal that opens only for those who are prepared to completely transform their love journey. The time to act is now. The wounds that prevent confessions, the walls that block true love, the patterns that keep you distant from happiness, all of this can be healed through the revelations contained in How to Attract and Recognize True Love. This guide is waiting in the first pinned comment.